Coming up on this hour of Sunrise, it is Election Day. We have a look at some of the top key national races on the ballot.
And from Nueces County to San Patricio County, what you need to know before you head out to vote today. Plus,
after a weekend hailstorm in Portland, shattered windows and dented cars are everywhere. We'll show you the damage and what residents should do next.
good morning, folks. Welcome to Chris 6 Sunrise. Thank you so much for waking up with the Hoffmans. I'm Michelle Hoffman.
And I'm Brian Hoffman. It is a Tuesday, Election Day. It's a big day, folks, so we have to make sure that you are okay getting out the door with not only the weather, but how's the traffic looking?
Yeah.
Hey, meteorologist Stephen Jones joins us. How you doing this morning, buddy?
Good morning.
Well, good morning. You guys doing just great. Stepped out the door. It's not very humid. It's not too cold, too hot. So, not too much to complain about, right?
Perfect for the Bears.
Absolutely. And getting out there today to vote, just not too bad in terms of the weather or the traffic. As you see there, lots of green on the board behind me, and getting an in-depth look at some of those roadways this morning. A good look at the Harbor Bridge, at least to and from Portland this morning. Yes, good and green if you're going to be heading out the door that way as we're starting off the 6 a.m. hour. Looking closer into Corpus Christi now. Ocean Drive, no major slowdowns to report there, as well as SPID, Saratoga, both looking good, and Crosstown Expressway there if you're going to be heading into downtown or away from downtown, of course. A little bit closer over towards the island, I should say, now into the Flower Bluff area. Flower Bluff Drive, no major slowdowns to report there either, looking good and green. Waldron Road as well, so better than what we were seeing yesterday. A little bit of a slowdown to mind there at the Naval Air Station, looks like a little bit more than normal, so just be mindful of that as well. And some of those drive times, I should say, for you, 22 minutes from downtown to the island, 8 minutes from Portland to downtown. Cal Allen to downtown sitting at 15 minutes, so wherever you're coming from and going to, good and green to head out the door and kick off your Tuesday morning.
Stephen, thank you so much. Like Michelle said, sounds perfect for the Bears. Well, hey, Americans are heading out to the polls today because it's Election Day. Changes are coming across America. Virginia and New Jersey are voting on a new governor, while New York City will elect a new mayor. Pennsylvanians are voting on 3 new state Supreme Court judges, and Maine will decide on changes to its red flag law. Over in California, voters will weigh in on a big topic right now in many places, a new congressional map. Scripps News Group's Joe St. George is going to join us at 6:12 with a look at some of today's key elections. And back here at home, polls open up at 7 this morning, so just under an hour. And before you head out to vote, we want to take some time to look at the items that you'll be voting for on the ballot. There are 17 proposed amendments to Texas Constitution on this ballot. There are also some local races you need to know about. Over in Nueces County, on the ballot, 3 separate proposals that would annex new areas to emergency service districts 1, 3, and 4. And voters in Robstown will head to the polls this morning in a city election that could completely reshape their local government. Robstown mayoral seat and all city council members are on the ballot. Many current council members are running for re-election, but voters will see a new face in place 1 as no incumbent is seeking that position.
In San Patricio County, voters can expect several key issues on the ballot that could impact them locally and statewide. In Aransas Pass, voters will get to decide if the school district will implement a new tax rate that the district says will increase revenue by 4%. That increase would go towards maintenance and operations across the district's 4 schools. Now, over in Taft, City Council could look different after votes are tallied. Neighbors there will cast their vote for mayor as well as the representatives for Ward 1 and 2. Sinton's Municipal District has a few key items on the ballot, including a new board of directors as well as several tax increases that would go towards fire services and road improvements. San Pat County voters will only have to vote on 1 local item. Voters will decide on the county's groundwater conservation district's single-cent increase for every $100 of a property's taxable value.
And in Orange Grove, neighbors will head to the polls to vote on the voter approval tax rate election. So if approved, it would help Orange Grove ISD improve safety and provide employees raises after years of financial losses. So according to Orange Grove Superintendent Eddie Hasseline, the election is about recovering money that the district has been losing for years. That's due to state funding mechanisms.
Now, don't forget, folks, if you need a ride to the polls today, Corpus Christi RTA has got you covered. The RTA will be offering free rides to and from voting centers. No voter registration or ID is required. Just tell the bus driver where you want to go. And of course, for more information about what's on the ballot, scan the QR code you see right there on your screen to get to the KrisTV.com election guide. And of course, keep it here on Chris 6 for the very latest on today's election results.
Residents say the storm came out of nowhere, dropping golf ball-sized hail or even bigger. For Brittany Perez, the storm's impact was immediate and shocking.
Our whole back window was shattered. It was gone. The side of our car was very damaged. We lost lights. Our front window was messed up. The crazy part was seeing the birds dead that I'm guessing had gotten hit by the hail.
Insurance agents say they're already seeing a flood of claims, including their own. That's State Farm's Matt Sablatura taking this video as hail shatters the windows of his home on Country Club Lane.
Well, 6:06 a.m. on our Tuesday morning, taking a live look out there at the USS Lexington Cam, brought to us by First Community Bank, sitting at 55 degrees, winds out of the east 5 miles an hour. The aquarium nice and lit up and the new Harbor Bridge in view, with just a little bit of a few cars, I should say, flowing along it nice and smooth this morning as we're starting off our Tuesday. Over the past 10 hours, a decent cool down since last night in those mid 60s at 8 p.m. down to the mid 50s by 1 a.m. Then a little bit of a back and forth to the 60s by 3 a.m. and then right back to the mid 50s now as we're heading through our 6 a.m. hour. Looking in your neighborhood, rounding out in a lot of those 50s, but a couple 60s and 70s out there. 71 in Port Aransas, that warm spot. 66 over at the Naval Air Station out in Hebronville, coming in at 53 degrees. That's going to be the same for Kingsville, and then the cool spot, Alice, actually coming in at 52 degrees this morning. So still a little chilly for some of us, and definitely have some dry air in place still as well, with dew points in the 50s for most of us. 60 there at the Naval Air Station, 51 over in Hebronville, 52 off to the north in Beeville. All of us going to see this number slowly climb as we go through the week ahead, even to the 70s by the time we're going into Friday and Saturday, I should say. Planning out our Tuesday, though, not looking too bad at that 74 degree mark for 9 a.m. 80 degrees by the time we're heading into the afternoon, topping out in those lower 80s for daytime highs, even some upper 70s along the coast, with plenty of sunshine for that afternoon as well. So really just looking like a beautiful day, and those forecast highs in your neighborhood. 77 in Aransas Pass, the same for Port Aransas. 80 up in Beeville, 83 off to the west in Freer as well as Hebronville. So like I said, just looking like a pretty nice Tuesday to get out there and maybe vote as well as you go out there. Looking at the Doppler radar, nice and clear skies right now, and as we go through the future tracker, going to be that same story as we go through our Tuesday. Just a little bit of cloud cover trying to push in from the Gulf with that moisture on the way as well. But overall, like I said, plenty of sunshine on the way. If you want to bring the umbrella, more so going to be for shade rather than rain in the future tracker, and that's going to be true throughout the most of the 7-day forecast. You can see the rain chance is really going to remain in that unlikely to stray category, potentially isolated by the time we're going into Saturday night into Sunday morning. That's when the next cold front is scheduled to arrive, and then that's where we should see a nice cool down back for the coastal bend, making it feel just a little bit more like fall again. And then, like I said, the 2 points there on the way to the 70s, it also dries them out from those 70s, you can see by the time we're in Saturday, and then right down to the 50s with the arrival of that cold front. So luckily going to be feeling a lot drier and cooler by the time we're heading into next week, I should say. But it's going to be a little bit brief at that. We might be bouncing right back into it. We'll see. Those temperatures going to be in the 90s for this weekend, but then by the time we're heading into Sunday, the 80s Monday, the 70s, and then overnight lows going from those 60s to the 40s by Sunday night.
Thank you, Stephen. So many folks will be heading out to the polls this morning to cast their vote. But what elections matter nationally? Scripps News Group's Joe St. George has the answer after the break. Welcome back, folks. 6:12 on your Tuesday morning. Getting a gorgeous look from our SPID Skycam. Nice to see the sun come out a little bit early, right? Well, hey, meteorologist Stephen Jones is standing by with a look at your forecast, but we have some Election Day news to get to, right? Well, Americans are heading to the polls today. It's for Election Day, and changes are coming all across America. To talk more about today's elections, we head to Fairfax County, Virginia.
Yes, that's where we find our Deputy Political Director, Joe St. George. Good morning, Joe. So there are a lot of local elections that matter to our viewers here in the Coastal Bend. We have that covered, but can you break down what elections matter nationally?
Yes, technically this is known as an off-year election, right? Congress is not up for grabs. The White House is not up for grabs. Today's election day will pale in comparison to next year's. A midterm is always a bigger deal. But here in Virginia, here in some states, you wouldn't know that it's an off-year election. There are big questions with huge ripple effects across the entire country. From a governor's election standpoint, there are races in Virginia and in New Jersey. They're historic already. In New Jersey, most amount of money ever spent in a gubernatorial race. Republicans feel like they may be able to surprise some folks with a victory in New Jersey today. Here in Virginia, it's historic because it will be one of the last remaining states to have never elected a female governor. And that will change here in Virginia today. Both Winsome Sears as well as Abigail Spanberger, the Democratic-Republican nominee, are female candidates. So history will be made here in the Commonwealth. The reason, though, the nation will be watching these governor's races today, though, guys, is because this is a pulse of the electorate 1 year after the election of 2024. It was an election last year. The Democrats just got decimated up and down the ballot. President Trump won in numbers that Democrats were shocked by. And this is an opportunity for the Democrats to really start the rebuilding process. If they're able to win these key races on this election day, that gives momentum to the Democrats going into next year's midterm election. And early voting data suggests that it will be a good night for Democrats in both New Jersey and in Virginia. Real quickly, two other races I got to mention. One is in New York City. It's the largest city in our country, right? It's New York, it's New York, it's New York. Zohran Mamdani is the Democratic nominee there. He's a Democratic socialist, controversial, but also viewed as someone who could be the future of the Democratic Party. He's talking about real issues like controlling prices when it comes to rent and housing, affordable housing. President Trump has called him a communist and has threatened to withhold federal funds to New York if he's elected. So that's one race that'll attract a lot of attention. And then real quickly, guys, what did we talk so much about? The Texas redistricting effort, the redrawing of the lines to favor Republicans. Well, what's happening in California today? Voters are being asked to redraw the maps that would favor Democrats, that would offset what Texas has done with its congressional map. So happy Election Day, guys. I know it's an off year, but it's an election day nonetheless, right? And we still get to go out and vote, and you still get a sticker, right? You still get the same sticker you get in a presidential election year.
Exactly. Thank you so much for the info, Joe.
Yeah, we appreciate your time, sir. Happy Election Day. Yeah.
Well, good Tuesday morning there. Coastal Bend taking a live look over at Snoopy's Pier thanks to Matthews CCAC. 6:16 a.m. is what we're sitting at. 66 degrees, winds out of the southeast, 3 miles an hour, and just a gorgeous look out there with the sun rising now. Just going to be getting better and better. Looking at the almanac data from yesterday, those daytime highs right on the money at 80 degrees. That's where we're supposed to be. The morning lows just a little chilly at 49, supposed to be about 60 degrees. Still well short of that record. That was 31 back in 1951. So we're on the way. We'll see how soon we see our first freeze, I should say, here in the Coastal Bend as we go into our winter, but definitely a lot of rainfall needed to make up for that 20-25 deficit. So far, we've seen almost 12 inches of rain in terms of a deficit. For the past 10 hours, a decent cool down at that, from the mid-60s last night to the mid-50s by 1 a.m., back to about 60 degrees, then back to the mid-50s as we've gone through the 6 a.m. hour. So now with the sun coming up, not likely to see any more degrees shaved off, but we'll see where we round out for the day as well in terms of daytime highs. Looking at those currents in your neighborhood, 53 over in San Diego, 50 in Hebbronville. Here in town, rounding out at 55 degrees, 71 in Port Aransas is going to be that warm spot this morning. So a good 21 degrees of spread from east to west across the Coastal Bend this morning. Not too bad out there, and definitely drier as well with dew points in the 50s for most of us. 60 there at the Naval Air Station, 59 in Ingleside, 51 over in Hebbronville as well as Orange Grove this morning. So nice dry air still in place, but likely to rise as we go through the week ahead. Those forecast highs in your neighborhood going to be the 80s as you work your way inland. 83 there in Freer as well as Hebbronville. Around the same here in Corpus Christi. Along the coast, looking more like the upper 70s, 78 for Rockport as well as over there at the Naval Air Station. 77 as you work your way over to Aransas Pass. So as we're looking at the next 10 days, though, a little bit of a roller coaster. Going to be on the rise as we go through the rest of the week. Then a steep decline as we go through Sunday morning. We see that cold front arrive, and then by Monday into Tuesday, going to hold on to some below average conditions, but then right back above average by the time we're going into Wednesday of Friday of next week. So just going to expect a little bit of a roller coaster in terms of those temperatures, but overall not too bad either. The current Doppler radar nice and clear out there, and that's going to be exactly what we see throughout our Tuesday. On that future tracker, you're going to see just a little bit of cloud cover pushing in from the Gulf, but overall not too bad at all. Just plenty of blue skies out there for the most part. Not too much rain. If you're going to have the umbrella today, it's mainly going to be for that just shade, to provide you just a little bit of shade, but not going to be too hot either, with those temperatures only getting to about 83 degrees or so for that daytime high. And in terms of rain, not looking too great throughout the next 7 days, only peaking there by Saturday night when we see that next cold front arrive into Sunday morning, but overall only going to be isolated chances at best. So that's also going to dry us out, luckily, with dew points into the 50s. That's going to be the main effect of this cold front in terms of the dryness, and then the cold weather as well, going from the 90s Friday into Saturday to the 70s by Monday, with overnight lows going from those 60s down to the 40s by Sunday night.
A teenager is killed on the weekend of Halloween, and now the community is mourning her. I'm Stephanie Molina in Keensville with what the police say happened and how her friends are remembering her.
This is Veterans in Focus, sponsored by the Heil Law Firm, battling for justice, winning for the community.
Help us out, folks. If you know of a veteran in need, make sure you let them know about an event happening on Thursday. The 12th Annual Homeless Veteran Stand Down will be at 311 North Staple Street from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Mayor's Committee for Veteran Affairs helps organize the event, bringing local groups together to provide resources all in one place. So 20 vendors are expected to be there.
Texas Veterans Commission benefits health, suicide prevention, mental health, and HEB, the food bank, you just provide services that they don't get on a daily basis.
And Longoria tells me they are preparing to serve more veterans this year, saying the homeless population has been increasing and the impacts of the government shutdown could bring in more people in need.
Well, 6:23 a.m. getting a live look out at our USS Lexington cam, brought to us by First Community Bank. You can see the new Harbor Bridge in view. A few more cars starting to hit the roadway, but still looks like they're flowing nice and smoothly now as we're heading towards that 6:30 a.m. hour. And really just a gorgeous view with the aquarium lit up there as well. Around most of our roadways looking good this morning so far. Let's get an in-depth look here at the Harbor Bridge to and from Portland. Yes, good and green, just like we were seeing on the Skycam. As we look over into Corpus Christi Ocean Drive, also looking good and green this morning, as well as SPID, Saratoga, and then even Crosstown Expressway. No major slowdowns to report as of right now. Moving our way over to Flower Bluff Drive, looking good and green for the most part. Waldron Road, a minor slowdown starting to show up there, I should say, as well as the normal one that you see closer to the Naval Air Station. As we look at some of those drive times, they're all looking pretty good as well. 22 minutes from downtown to the island. Portland to downtown looking at 8 minutes. Cal Allen to downtown sitting at that 15-minute mark. So wherever you're coming from, wherever you're going to, going to be good and green to head out the door and kick off your Tuesday morning.
It's election day across the state. I'm Michaela Chavez, and I'm breaking down all 17 propositions before you get out and vote.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Well, good Tuesday morning there, Coastal Bend, 6:26 a.m. Getting a live look out there with Snoopy Skycam, thanks to Matthew CCAC, sitting at 55 degrees. A gorgeous look with the sunrise coming up earlier and earlier now, thanks to the time change this past weekend. Water's looking nice and calm. Not too many boaters out there either, it's looked like so far this morning. But starting off pretty good as we're heading out the door with the 50s around the area. And as we looked at yesterday, it was pretty chilly in the morning, coming in the 40s where we were yesterday. We saw a couple 40s this morning too, but not as chilly as we're seeing, and slow warm up throughout this week. 80 degrees is what we got to for that daytime high, and that was right on the money in terms of those daytime high averages. In terms of the record, a little bit short. That was 91 degrees back in 1992, and the morning lows, that record was 31 back in 1951. So we're going to see when we get our first freeze. Not quite on the board yet for the Coastal Bend, and of course plenty of rain needed to make up for the 2025 deficit so far. Those temperatures in your neighborhood sitting in the 50s, off to the west, 53 in San Diego, as well as 50 in Hebronville right now, 55 here in town, 71 the warm spot this morning over in Port Aransas. The Naval Air Station coming in about 66 degrees, and then 64 up in Ingleside rounding us out this morning. Those dew points also still fairly dry in the 50s for most of us. 60 there at the Naval Air Station, the peak of that moisture, 56 in Port Aransas, 51 over there in Hebronville, and off to the north, Beeville coming in at about 52 for that dew point, but these are all likely to rise throughout the day and really throughout the week as we see this southeasterly flow start to take over just a little bit. But not looking too bad to take the pup out for a walk either. Today we've got Hubert here, who's fully in the November spirit with his pumpkin, of course. And as we look at those temperatures for Hubert's walk this morning, going to be 74 degrees by 9 a.m., 76 there by 10 a.m. As we're heading out to lunch, about 79 to 80 degrees as we head early into the afternoon, with those winds turning a little bit more southeasterly into the afternoon as well, around that 10-mile-an-hour mark. So not too bad at all. And in terms of those feels like temperatures, only going to be the lower 80s by that peak heating by about 3 to 5 p.m., at least 2 to 4 p.m., feeling like about 82 degrees. And then we start that nightly cool down back into the 50s for the overnight hours. But like I said, just each day slowly going to climb in those temperatures through about Friday to Saturday. For today, those forecast highs in your neighborhood going to be the upper 70s along the coast, 78 in Rockport to the Naval Air Station, 77 in Aransas Pass, 83 here in Corpus Christi. And as you work your way inland, that's where we see more of those 80s on the board, with 82 in Alice and 83 as well over in Freer and Hebronville for that forecast high for today. But like I said, slowly going to climb throughout the week by Friday into Saturday. That's where we see the peak of that above average temperatures. Then we get a good cold front in the area by Saturday night into Sunday morning. Then we see that steep drop to below average by Monday into Tuesday, then right back above average as we head into the back half of next week. So a little bit of a roller coaster in terms of temperatures on the way for the coastal bend, but still, like I said, no freezes on the board right now. In terms of the current Doppler radar, nice and clear skies out there, and that's going to be what we see throughout our Tuesday. Plenty of those sunny skies, I should say, just a little bit of cloud cover trying to push in from the Gulf, but overall, mostly sunny skies going to be around for today, tomorrow, and throughout most of the week. The sunny skies are going to take over under the influence of that high pressure, with the temperatures slowly rising and rain chances continuing to stay pretty low until we get to about Saturday. That's where we see just an isolated chance with the arrival, I should say, of that cold front into Sunday morning, but overall chances isolated at best, probably not going to see too much. Those temperatures do drop though from the 90s Friday into Saturday to the 70s by Monday, with overnight lows going from the mid 60s down to the mid 40s by Sunday night.
Praying you don't need health insurance. That's where many young adults find themselves right now. With Katia Tubman coming up, how young adults are being priced out of health care coverage and what they're doing to cope.
Welcome back, folks. Well, something I can personally attest to with over 52 surgeries under my belt. Healthcare is one of the most important issues for Americans, something the Democrats have been fighting for. And for many, partially thanks to the passage of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, it's getting more expensive. So all this week, we're looking into the growing costs of healthcare and the challenges that Americans face when it comes to actually paying for it.
Yeah, that's right. As open enrollment begins for millions of Americans, national news correspondent Katia Tubman reports on how young adults are navigating an increasingly expensive marketplace or not.
Young adults who've turned 26 this year are approaching what's considered a health insurance cliff, a time when many of them lose their family's coverage provided under the Affordable Care Act. They could also be one of the largest groups hardest hit by rising premiums.
Right now, I do not have health insurance.
Destiny Bryson is a single mother of two, a veteran and a recent college grad who doesn't make enough to pay a healthcare premium each month. For now, her plan is to pray she doesn't need it.
A lot of hoping that nothing bad does happen. As a 26-year-old woman, I think there's like 3-4 different types of doctors I should be seeing at least annually. And I can't remember the last time I saw them. I'm like, I can't afford any issues.
Bryson is among millions of young adults who must provide their own health coverage for the first time. They're sharing their stories.
I'm looking at the health premiums for this next open enrollment. $400.
I'm currently looking at insurance options and it really sucks.
I'm not going to be able to see a dentist anymore either.
Young adults already are the most uninsured and underinsured population we have in this country.
Kristen McGuire is the president and CEO of Young Invincibles, an advocacy group trying to keep young people from living uninsured.
For now, it's about 30% of young adults across the country. So that's more than 1 in 5 young people don't have health care.
McGuire says the most affordable place for them has been the ACA. That was until the One Big Beautiful Bill did not extend tax credits that help young people afford premiums.
The bottom line is young adults rely heavily on the tax credits from the Affordable Care Act. So ending the tax credits right now would be very harmful to their livelihoods.
I've looked for second sources of income And I've also considered re-enlisting into the military to get those medical benefits.
And any extra money, Bryson says, that would go to health insurance?
Those are like the funds that I have for like buying my kids clothes or food or daycare while I work. And those aren't things that I can give up.
Katie Tubman, Scripps News Group, New York.
Well, good Tuesday morning there, Coastal Bend, taking a live look over at Snoopy's Pier. Thanks to Matthews CCAC, sitting at 65 degrees there. Winds out of the east-southeast about 5 miles an hour, and a gorgeous sunrise at that as well, with the waters looking nice and calm. Just a few cars picking up on the roadways as well, but not too bad as we're starting off our Tuesday. Those temperatures in your neighborhood, the warm spot going to be Port Aransas, coming in at 71 degrees, 65 over at the Naval Air Station, 63 in Ingleside. The rest of us rounding out in the 50s, 55 here, I should say, here in Corpus Christi, 53 there in Robstown, as well as Hebronville and San Diego. So not too bad starting off our Tuesday morning, and enjoying some dry air with it as well, with most of the dew points in the 50s. The Naval Air Station coming in at 59, Ingleside 59 as well, 54 in Portland, and here in Corpus Christi 50 there in Robstown. And as we're looking out there with some of the forecasts for today, 83 degrees, those temperatures is what they're going to get to. Not too bad with all the sunshine that we're expecting as well. Rain chances, though, they're going to remain pretty minimal throughout most of the 7-day forecast. I'll go over all the rain chances, though, and that 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit.
Now, 20 minutes of non-stop news, sponsored by Ewald Kubota.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you so much for joining us for our 20 minutes of non-stop news with the Hoffmans. I'm Brian Hoffman.
And I'm Michelle Hoffman. We have plenty of neighborhood news for you, as always, folks. But first, let's check in with meteorologist Stephen Jones to see how the roadways are looking this morning. Good morning, Stephen.
Well, good morning, you guys. Not too bad stepping out today with a little bit warmer outside, not too much humidity either, and the roadways, as you see behind me, they're looking good and green as we're heading out the door. So not too bad starting off our Tuesday morning as people get ready to maybe head out to the polls as well. You can see on our SPID Skycam here, just a few more cars starting to hit the roadway as we get a little bit closer to 7 a.m. now, I should say. And then as we're looking, just a little bit of cloud cover there, but not too much rain to slow you down either as you're hitting those roadways. Let's take an in-depth look now here at the Harbor Bridge to and from Portland this morning. Going to be good and green if you're heading that way into Corpus Christi. Ocean Drive, no major slowdowns to report, as well as SPID Saratoga, not too bad. Crosstown Expressway coming in good and green this morning. Just a couple minor slowdowns there. Rodfield as you get close to SPID, and maybe Saratoga as you get close to Crosstown Expressway, but like I said, not too bad. Flower Bluff, minor slowdown there on Waldron Road, as well as Flower Bluff Drive, so be mindful of both of those, as well as the normal one you see closer to the Naval Air Station gates. But overall, looking good and green wherever you're going and wherever you're coming from this morning to get out there and kick off your Tuesday morning.
Stephen, thank you so much. As we've been telling you, folks, it is Election Day, and polls actually open in less than 20 minutes at 7 this morning. So before you head out to vote, we want to take a look at some of the items on the ballot. There are 17 proposed amendments to the Texas Constitution on the ballot, so we have neighborhood news reporter Michaela Chavez breaking them all down for you before you head to the polls.
Prop 1 would create a permanent fund for Texas State Technical College, help pay for new buildings, equipment, and job training programs. In short, it's about giving more support for technical education and skilled job training. Prop 2 would make it so that the state could never tax the profit you make when selling things like stocks, real estate, estates, or trusts. Prop 3 would require judges to deny bail for people accused of specified violent or sexual felonies if there's strong evidence they're dangerous or might run before trial. Prop 4 would send up to $1 billion a year from existing sales taxes to help improve Texas water systems through 2035 unless lawmakers extend it. Prop 5 would let lawmakers allow stores that sell feed for farm animals to skip property taxes on that feed if they choose. Prop 6 would prevent Texas from adding new taxes on stock trades or on people and companies that work in finance. Prop 7 would give property tax relief to unremarried spouses of veterans who died as a result of a condition or disease in connection to their service. Prop 8 would permanently prohibit a state inheritance tax. Texas currently doesn't have a tax like this, so this would just make sure that stays the case. Prop 9 would give small business owners a much bigger tax break, up to $125,000 worth of equipment or inventory. Currently, the first $2,500 of that equipment's value is tax-free. Prop 10 would let homeowners get a temporary property tax break if their home is unlivable due to a fire. Prop 11 is a school tax exemption for elderly or disabled homeowners. Right now, they get $10,000 knocked off the value of their home before school taxes are calculated. The discount would jump to $60,000, meaning they'd owe less in school property taxes each year. Prop 12 would restructure the commission's membership, add more citizen members, and update how judges are disciplined. Prop 13 would raise the school tax exemption from $100,000 to $140,000, lowering how much of your home's value is taxed. Prop 14 would put $3 billion plus up to $300 million a year towards a new state institute for dementia and brain disease research and prevention. Prop 15 would put into law that parents are the main decision makers for their children. Prop 16 would explicitly state in the Texas Constitution that only U.S. citizens can vote in Texas elections. And lastly, Prop 17 would prevent property values in border counties from rising just because of new border security projects.
So, there you have it. It sounds like a lot, but knowing what they mean before you vote can help. And you can also head to our election guide at christv.com for everything you need to know. On the South Side, I'm your Sunrise Neighborhood News reporter, Michaela Chavez, Chris 6 News.
Michaela, thanks. It's important to note that a couple of those items will have rippling effects, so know before you go. And there's also some local races we want to talk to you about. The Nueces County ballot for all of us, 3 separate proposals would annex new areas to emergency service districts 1, 3, and 4. Voters in Robstown will head to the polls this morning in a city election that could completely reshape their local government. So Robstown Mayor seat as well as all city council members are on the ballot. Many current council members are running for re-election, but voters will see a brand new face in the place one as no incumbent is seeking that position. And in Orange Grove, neighbors will head to the polls to vote on the voter approval tax rate election. If approved, it would help Orange Grove ISD improve safety and provide employee raises after years of financial losses. So according to Orange Grove Superintendent Eddie Hessline, the election is about recovering money that the district has been losing for years due to state funding mechanisms.
And of course, folks, if you need a ride to the polls today, Corpus Christi RTA has got you covered. The RTA will be offering free rides to and from voting centers. No voter registration or ID is required. Just tell the bus driver where you want to go. And to re-emphasize, for more information about what's on the ballot, scan the QR code you see on your screen to get to the christv.com election guide and keep it here on Chris 6 for the very latest on today's election results.
Well, 6:46 a.m. taking a live look over at Snoopy's Pier. Thanks to Matthew CCAC, sitting at 65 degrees. Wind's not too bad either, and just a gorgeous sunrise at that as well, with the waters pretty calm this morning. A few cars starting to hit the roadway there, you can see, but overall not too much weather on the board right now, at least in terms of precipitation. Taking a look back at yesterday, 80 degrees right on the money for our average daytime high. That morning low a little bit chilly, coming in at 49, below the average of 60, but well short of the record. That was 31 back in 1950. And of course, we need plenty of rain so far to make up for the deficit we've seen in 2025, coming up on that 12-inch mark so far. For that currents in Corpus Christi, sitting at that 55-degree mark, humidity at 96% right now, but likely to drop as we go through the day. Those winds out of the east 5 miles an hour right now, so pretty calm for most of us as well, and a little bit chilly as you're stepping out the door, at least probably worthy of a coat still, with the 55 degrees over there in San Diego and 54 in Freer, 51 off to the south, and then 49 there in Hebbronville, so pretty chilly off to the south, and 71 there in Port Aransas. So a good spread of temperatures, about 22 degrees from east to west right now across the coastal bend. And as we go through the next few hours, probably going to warm up. So today we've got our dog walking forecast, and today we've got Hubert here fully in the November spirit with his pumpkin ready to go. And as we look at those temperatures for Hubert's walk, looking at 71 degrees by 9 a.m., by 10 a.m. 76, and by that lunch hour looking at 79 degrees, with those winds turning just a little bit out of the southeast around that 10-mile-an-hour mark, so not too bad either. In terms of daytime highs for the feels like temperature, at least going to be feeling like the lower 80s by 2 to 4 p.m., feeling like that 82 degree mark. Daytime highs only going to be about 83 degrees, so the feels like temperatures going to be just about the same as our actual temperatures, with dew points still a little low in those 50s. The current Doppler radar nice and clear out and about, and that's going to continue into our Tuesday. Maybe just a little bit of that cloud cover moving in from the Gulf, but overall going to see those mostly sunny skies. That's going to really be the pattern that we see this week, just a little bit of cloud cover trying to push in with that southeasterly flow pushing into the coastal bend. but overall, not going to see too much rainfall as a result of it, unfortunately. In terms of daytime highs, going to see a bit of a roller coaster climbing in daytime highs this week, peaking by about Friday into Saturday, but then we see a cold front work in, getting a good decline there by Monday into Tuesday, going to be below average, then right back above average as we head into the back half of next week. So, like I said, just a little bit of a roller coaster, but overall not going to be too bad, just still dealing with a little bit of above average temperatures, I should say. For our current 7-day forecast, going to see that slow climb through this week to about 90 degrees by Friday into Saturday. That cold front arrives by Sunday morning, cooling us off to the 80s, then the 70s by Monday, with overnight lows going from those 60s into the 40s by Sunday night.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Appreciate you. We'll be back with you in just a little bit. But first, folks, we have plenty of neighborhood news to get to this morning.
Yeah, from neighbors in Portland cleaning up after this past weekend storm to remembering Sheriff Moody. We have you covered in your neighborhood check-in.
Residents say the storm came out of nowhere, dropping golf ball-sized hail or even bigger. For Brittany Perez, the storm's impact was immediate and shocking.
Our whole back window was shattered. It was gone. The side of our car was very damaged. We lost lights. Our front window was messed up. The crazy part was seeing the birds dead that I'm guessing had gotten hit by the hail.
Insurance agents say they're already seeing a flood of claims, including their own. That's State Farm's Matt Sablatura taking this video as hail shatters the windows of his home on Country Club Lane.
On the night of October 31st, police were called to a home on West Kennedy Avenue for a shooting. When they got there, they found 18-year-old Kaylin Villarreal dead. Police say she was there for a small party. This Halloween tragedy leaving the community in mourning. Ozias Miller, a friend of Caitlin, described her as a caring person. According to police, witnesses say Larry Rodriguez pulled a firearm out of a backpack and shot Villarreal in the head. He ran from the scene and turned himself in on Saturday. He's been charged with first-degree murder. Despite speculation on social media, police and friends of the victim tell me he was not romantically involved with Caitlin. The Kingsville Independent School District said both teens were enrolled at KISD Care Academy. Caitlin was a senior in high school. Those who knew and loved Caitlin tell me they want her to be remembered for who she was and not what happened to her.
I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Victoria Valderrama in Sinton, where the people here are mourning Leroy Moody. Many in this community called him a legend and a friend.
At Monday's Commissioners Court meeting, County Judge David Krebs called for a moment of silence in honor of Leroy Moody. Moody dedicated 55 years of his life to law enforcement, 30 of those serving as the Sanpak County Sheriff before retiring in 2019. Sanpak County Commissioner William Zagorski was friends with Moody for over 4 decades.
The man is not just a sheriff, he's a legend in the state.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
Americans are heading to the polls today for Election Day. Changes are coming across America. Virginia and New Jersey are voting on a new governor, while New York will elect a new mayor. Pennsylvanians are voting on 3 new state Supreme Court judges, and Maine will decide on changes to its red flag law. In California, voters will weigh in on a big topic right now in many places, a new congressional map.
The Trump administration has agreed to partially fund SNAP benefits using contingency funds. It comes after tens of millions of Americans did not receive their November SNAP benefits over the weekend due to the ongoing government shutdown. The Trump administration said that it would use all $4.65 billion in contingency funds to cover about half of each eligible household's benefits this month. However, it would need at least $4 billion in additional government funds to provide full SNAP benefits.
Well, today marks day 35 of the government shutdown, which ties it for the longest shutdown ever. The first one happened during President Trump's first term in office over a dispute between Trump and Congress to fund the U.S.-Mexico border wall. Trump continues to blame Democrats for the current shutdown, despite Republicans controlling both the House and the Senate. Democrats just want to extend negotiations on expiring Affordable Care Act subsidies. Trump has said he'll only negotiate when the government is reopened.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth will meet with South Korea's president today to talk security. It's part of his 2-day visit to the nation. On Monday, Hegseth visited the demilitarized zone, touring the border area where past U.S. presidents have met with American soldiers. Today's talks are expected to cover South Korea's commitment to increase defense spending and the transfer of wartime operational control to a binational command.
Walgreens is closing yet another Corpus Christi location. The Walgreens at Weber and Hawley on the city's south side will close on December 9th. The pharmacy chain recently notified customers who have prescriptions at that location that the company had made the difficult decision to close that location permanently. The Walgreens on Airline and McCardle closed its doors in October of 2023. The company has previously said it will shut down 1,200 underperforming locations across the country over the next 3 years. 500 of those closures were planned for the 2025 fiscal year.
The city of Corpus Christi invites the public to attend an information session on water supply projects. The session will be held Thursday at Grace United Methodist Church. That's at Northwest Boulevard. It begins at 6 p.m. and ends at 7 p.m.
All right, folks, on to what's trending now, and you have to check this out. Oreo is getting into the Thanksgiving spirits. They're launching 6 new Thanksgiving-themed flavors this year, and they're kind of controversial, right? The flavors include turkey and stuffing, sweet potato, and cream corn. There will also be caramel apple pie, pumpkin pie, and cranberry sauce. So each Oreo cookie is covered in fudge that's infused with one of the 6 flavors. And the cookies come in a limited edition Oreo-shaped tin, which includes 12 cookies, 2 of each flavor. The Thanksgiving-flavored Oreos are only available through the Oreo website.
I'm so curious.
A couple of those sound good, like the cranberry and maybe the pumpkin pie, right?
I feel like sweet potato can be a
Sweet
good
potato,
one too.
yes,
Yeah.
but I don't know about the turkey and stuffing, though.
Don't knock it unless you try it.
You're right. You know what? We might have to actually order this. It
Yeah.
would be a cool little morning show segment.
We always say that, but we have to hold ourselves accountable.
We do. All right. We'll get our producers to get on us, Cass. You got to get on me for that. What flavor would you choose out of that list?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I think you said what, caramel apple?
Caramel apple, yeah.
See, that one seems like it might work, and then maybe the pumpkin. I'm not sure. I think those 2 would be my go-tos at least. But like you said, that's
not a turkey and stuffing guy.
I'm not sure, but yeah, got to try it at least. Got to try it before you knock it. Of course.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but it's starting to feel more like the season. Luckily,
Yeah.
I mean, not too bad today. Not as chilly as we were the past couple of days. So feeling just a little bit more fall-like, and going to start to feel maybe a little bit summer-like even as we're heading into the back half of this week. So I know that's good news for some, bad news for others, but there is some good news on the way for the cold weather lovers as well. There's another cold front on the board of the 7-day forecast. Of course, we'll get to that in just a minute. First, here's a live look over at Snoopy's Pier thanks to Matthews CCAC, sitting at 65 degrees now at 6:56 a.m. A few more cars picking up there on the causeway, and just a gorgeous sunrise as well as we're looking out there in your neighborhood, rounding out, I should say, in the 50s for most of us. 71 is the warm spot there in Port Aransas. 65 over at the Naval Air Station in Hebronville, running 53 degrees is the same for Kingsville, as well as in Beeville coming in around 55. Looking at those visibilities, not too bad this morning. Beeville sitting at 7.7, just a little bit of reduced, but really shouldn't affect your drive either. As we're looking at the dew points, nice and dry out there with most of us in the 50s, or really all of us now in the 50s. 59 there at the Naval Air Station as well as Ingleside. 55 from Portland here into Corpus Christi as well, and going to see those slowly rise as we go through the week ahead. Of course, as we're going through our Tuesday, might be time to take the pup for a walk, and today we've got Hubert ready and fully in the November spirit with his pumpkin. Those temperatures going to round out pretty good for Hubert's walk today. 71 by 9 a.m., 78 by 11 a.m., 79 there by that noon hour, with winds turning just a little bit more southeasterly around that 10-mile-an-hour mark. So Hubert's probably got a good walk on the forecast for today. And in terms of that afternoon, not looking too bad either, only getting up to about 83 degrees for the air temperature, but only going to be feeling like about that 82 degree mark by 2 to 3 p.m. for that daytime high. And of course, we get that nightly cool down back through the 60s and into the 50s as we go into the overnight hours. For those forecast highs in your neighborhood, sitting in the upper 70s along the coast, 77 from Port Aransas to Aransas Pass, 79 there in Sinton, 83 here in town. That's going to be the same for Freer and Hebronville out to the west. And as you work your way inland, a few more of those 80s on the board as well. For the Doppler radar right now, nice and clear across the coastal bend, and that continues throughout our Tuesday. Maybe just a little bit of cloud cover, should say, trying to push in from the Gulf. But overall, mostly sunny skies on the board for us today. And throughout that 7-day forecast, going to see those temperatures peak by the time we're going into Friday and Saturday, peaking around that 90-degree mark with that next cold front on the board by Sunday morning. That cools us off to about 70 degrees by Monday, with overnight lows back into the 40s, potentially even some model guidance says the 30s again. So we'll see. Like I said, some good news for the hot weather lovers as well as the cold weather lovers in there.
And good news for cookie lovers. I just ordered the Thanksgiving.
We're going to try it.
We will try it on air. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us, folks. Make sure you wish Michelle good luck on her bodybuilding competition, but I will see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.